Alright boys, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've somewhat come to the realization that the Bulls might trade my man, my favorite player in the NBA, Jimmy Butler. And honestly, it might not be the worst thing that they could do. Before we get into that, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel if you're new. But yes, if you guys haven't heard already, the Celtics are probably going to trade the #1 pick down to the 76ers, man. It looks like the 76ers are going to be trading the 3rd pick and then maybe a few 2nd round picks or some draft picks from next year's draft, which that makes sense for the 76ers because really the main position that they're missing is point guard, and obviously Markelle Fultz is the best player in the draft. They're really high on him, and it's looking like it's going to happen, which is super exciting, man. Super exciting that the 76ers are most likely going to get Markelle Fultz. And honestly, it looks like Markelle Fultz really wants to go to the 76ers, man. I know Joel Embiid put out a tweet of him with Dario Saric and like a picture of Markelle Fultz's name on like a 76ers locker, and Fultz actually retweeted that tweet. They took a bunch of pictures together. I think Embiid just tweeted that it would be legendary if Fultz does end up coming to the 76ers, so that's looking to be very probable. And apparently the Celtics are doing that so they could make a better trade offer to try to get Jimmy Butler. Now that could be completely wrong. They could just be higher on Josh Jackson and feel like it's smarter for them to trade down if they're really not as high on Fultz, or if they think Fultz and Isaiah Thomas won't mesh well. That makes sense as well. But the Jimmy Butler trade makes sense also, man. Honestly, I have no idea what the Chicago Bulls front office is thinking, just because they're really unpredictable. Like, you never know which direction they're going. Sometimes it looks like they're making really smart moves. Other times it looks like they have no idea what to do in the game of creating a team for a basketball game. But that's besides the point. I don't know what the Bulls are thinking, but at this point it might make sense for the Bulls to just give up Jimmy Butler. Now, I'm not saying give up as in, oh, let him go for nothing. No. We're getting a lot in return for him if we are trading him. But it might make sense to finally pull the trigger and trade him away. That's hard for me to say because Jimmy Butler's my favorite player in the NBA, man. That's my dude. I love everything about him. But honestly, it doesn't look like our team is going to be getting much better in the next few years. Like, if Jimmy Butler is on the team next year, Dwyane Wade is most likely going to stay. He's not going to decline his player option, and it's more than likely Rondo's going to stay. So we're going to have the similar core as we did last year, and honestly, we're not going to be much better. We may even be worse just because Rondo and Wade might be declining. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not really a big fan of this core. While I am a big fan of Jimmy Butler, we just don't have the right pieces around him, and it might not make sense to still try to compete with him just because I feel like we're just going to be average for a few years if we do that. And being average in the NBA kind of sucks, man. You want to either be really good so you can compete for a championship, or you want to be terrible so you can get one of the top picks. And right now, we're just in that middle ground, man. We'll probably make the playoffs next year if we maintain the same core, but we're not contenders. We all know that the Bulls aren't contenders for next year. So in my opinion, it may be time to blow it up, especially if the Celtics or another team are finally starting to offer really big pieces for Jimmy Butler. And the thing is, if Jimmy Butler's traded, Dwyane Wade will most likely decline his player option and want to leave, want to go and probably contend for a championship. And as great as Dwyane Wade has been in his career, man, he is obviously past his prime, and I don't know, I just feel like there's no room for him on the Bulls anymore. It just doesn't make sense for him to be on this team because we're clearly not going to be competing for a championship. Dwyane Wade would be an amazing 6th man at this point in his career, dude. Off the bench for like the Cavs or some other team that's contending, he would be an absolute beast. But for the Bulls right now, it just doesn't make sense, man. So if the Bulls were to trade Jimmy Butler, we would more than likely have Dwyane Wade off the salary, and then we could do a proper rebuild where we could sign some young free agents, maybe build up a new core with them. We'll get some draft picks as well, be able to do well in the draft, and it'll have more of a future than what the Bulls have now, just because our whole future is essentially Jimmy Butler and, like, I guess Denzel Valentine, Zipser, but none of those guys have crazy amounts of potential that you could see them just becoming stars and becoming great players in the NBA to a point where we're actually competing. Jimmy's at the prime of his career. He is my favorite player, and although I do hate the Celtics, they're one of my least favorite teams in the world, or maybe even my least favorite team in the NBA. It just makes sense for that trade to happen, man. It really, really does. It pisses me off that it makes so much sense, and it pisses me off that I'm finally going to have to admit it. But Jimmy Butler should probably be traded by the Chicago Bulls, man. And if we do trade Jimmy and we end up getting like the 3rd pick in the draft, there's so many fire prospects that the Bulls can possibly pick up, man. De'Aaron Fox, if Josh Jackson's there, we could take him. If Lonzo Ball's there, we could take him. I don't know, man. There's tons of other fire prospects that look to have promising NBA careers, and we could just do a proper rebuild, man. Jimmy Butler is 27. He has 2 or 3 years left on his contract, and it doesn't look like the Bulls are going to be a great team in the next 2 or 3 years. So it may just be time for us to hit the reset button and just finally trade him away and finally start to rebuild. You guys can let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. I'd really, really like to hear your input on this. I'm starting to really like what the 76ers are doing. Joel Embiid is one of my favorite players in the NBA, so it's awesome to see that they're trying to put a bunch of beasts around him. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but man, that core of Embiid, Ben Simmons, Dario Saric, and then if they do get Fultz, that's a crazy looking core, dude. That team is looking set for the future. Looks like they can possibly contend in like 2 or 3 years, which is awesome, man. I love seeing up and coming young teams get even better, so that's exciting to look forward to. Obviously, I'm super excited for the draft. If you want to see me make some more NBA videos or some more NBA draft videos, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching this video. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, smash that like button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.